We are back, and the one thing that I'd like to do is acknowledge our producer and overlord, Chief Maggot Brain, and the head of this operation, which is Carl Booker. He's done such a great job, and we're just glad to be able to be on Black Video Network.
He's a taskmaster.
He is.
Yeah.
But when we
He
were,
makes you do it over and over and over again if he doesn't like the way it's done.
but we wanted to come back and be able to say, take up the movies and talk about the movies and how they have changed for Black folks.
Okay.
So, is there something that you can give us on that, Doctor?
One of the things that I have seen when I taught an African American literature course, there was, of course, music, and I brought in film as well. And even in the music industry, we were seeing songs by enslaved people, Black people, as well as foundational Black Americans, where there was a theme that was spread out from slavery even to now, where you saw suffering, survival, love, hope, faith. You saw that, and I'm seeing through a lot of our foundational Black American artists, like they're trying to recover some of those themes, such as Kendrick Lamar. I like his stuff, and what I'm seeing is that he has a social conscious message in a lot of his songs. Samara Joy, she just got an award for a new artist, and what did she do in her first, one of her albums? She's reached back and brought back the music of Nancy Wilson.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and even Jay-Z did a song that I really like, The Story of OJ, where he reached back and integrated Nina Simone's Four Women into that song. So we're seeing that, and the reason why I'm applauding them on it is because the hip hop industry and the rhythm and blues industry has been really, it's been, as here's a term, been tethered by non-foundational Black Americans trying to get a piece of that action, and they can't tell our story the way these people can because they're part of the community. Then I'm also seeing a different messaging of movies by Black directors, Black producers. We've already talked
Right.
about The Woman King, but Jordan Peele
Right.
has put out movies to where they're controversial in that he did a movie called Us, Them, Nope, and Get Out. But the movie that I really liked was Them, because it told the story of gentrification and how this area in LA, I can't think of the area right now, where Black folks were not allowed in, or realtors severely redlined that area to where our people couldn't get in, and how our communities were destroyed. So it told that story about a Black family where the husband came back from war, and he had a hard time. He moved into a white community, and the struggles that family went through. It was a different spin on what really, what happened to Black families, but it was a good story. Of course, Us was really the tethering of other groups onto Black families and taking over their bodies. And Get Out was really an interesting story.
And I think it's really interesting that when you look at the different filmmakers, you look at sometimes the different artists, they are able to give a different view as to what's going on, or their perspective on what it is that they're trying to make you see. The prime example that I will give is the illustrious guy sitting to my right. He wrote a screenplay, and it's about Greenwood, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and about Black Wall Street. But however, his take on it is altogether different than anything that everyone else is seeing. He's focusing on black heroes as opposed to anything else, which I think is very commendable. The last thing that I'll say is that black people, as far as artists, I think have been very creative. Now, understand this, and I don't know if you listen to the radio or you listen to any music, if you've got children, listen to their music or whatever. But what you will find is that, before I tell you what you'll find, you had conservatives who took music out of the schools. And when they took music out of the schools,
Whoa, conservatives?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because liberals, that's what we do. Liberal arts. You know, everybody,
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
we want to do that.
Okay.
So when they took this out, to me, that's what brought on rapping, because kids were no longer learning how to play an instrument. So they had to figure out what they were going to do. But they had creative responses that they wanted to do, so they began rapping. So what I'm asking you is, when you listen to your music now, if you listen to the music, there's no horns, there's no strings, there's nothing, and most of it are ballads. You don't find Bruno Mars right now is about the only person that you really find a hip hop kind of beat or something that you can dance to. And that's basically because he's a player. He plays an instrument. And the majority of these other people are just tapping on the computer and doing whatever they can do and putting some beats together and so forth.
But see, I'm saying that there's a recovery period going on. That's how come I was mentioning Kendrick Lamar,
Okay.
Samara Joy, and OJ, that they're trying to recover that, because we're having other groups. In fact, there's a big discussion right now that the Jamaicans were the founders of hip hop.
What?
All these other islander groups were the founders of hip hop and everything. So they're trying to dismiss our history, foundational Black Americans' history of hip hop, and they're trying to bring in. So I think.
But let me stop you there. Who is this they? Who's saying that?
Other non-Black groups.
Okay.
Even you're having some Latino groups saying that we had a huge contribution into hip hop.
Wow.
And you think about hip hop and rap, I'm thinking about people like Grandmaster Flash, who came on.
Or the what was the group out of New Jersey? Hip hop to the hippity hip. Yeah.
So let me ask you this though: do you see, as far as I understand, there's kind of a revitalization of hip hop, of positive hip hop. Do you think something like a Public Enemy or an X-Clan or something like that, or KRS-One, do you think it would go to that level, and do you think something like that would be even marketable today?
I think it will be marketable, because if you think about it, this is what I'm thinking, that the underlying premise of hip hop and rap back in the day, even to now, was to talk about a situation going on within the community. And that's how they were able to tell those stories. Spirituals told a situation about what was going on on the plantation. So I think that they can still transmit those messages, but I think that they're trying to control the message even more so now.
Okay, let me stop there. I want to touch on a real different subject right now, Angela Bassett and what happened at the Oscars. Of course, we know that she did not win. The question that I have is, if we are now beginning to emerge in the entertainment business in all areas, is it not time that we bring the BET Awards, the NAACP Image Awards into its own, to make sure that people covet, when I say people, talking about Black folks, covet those award shows over something like the Oscars?
Right.
But if you look at the NAACP Image Awards, I saw Black folks, people I recognize as Black folks. But the BET Award, we're seeing Nicki Minaj, all kind of folks who I don't recognize as as foundational Black Americans. Right?
Okay.
So the BET Awards has been colonized, if you will, for a while. Hopefully, when it becomes Black owned, maybe it will go back to some of the foundations of BET. But I agree that that maybe this is an opportunity for the NAACP to really sharpen their knives, if you will, and really give up to any of those shows. Because I think the only reason why Angela did not get recognized was a get back as to what happened last year with Will Smith slapping Chris Rock.
You really think that?
I think so. I
Why?
think so.
Why do you think that?
Well, last year's Oscars was a Black production. It had a Black director. I mean, it was a huge Black production. And so when that happened with Will, he got his Oscar, but there's still some lingering effects. There's some lingering effects from what that happened, and I believe that Angela Bassett was a result of the lingering effects.
I think
Because I only seen, Jamie Lee Curtis. When I think of Jamie Lee Curtis, I'm sorry. I see her chasing Michael with a gun and everything down the street in the movies. I don't see, she's a good actress. I don't see her with the portfolio, with the body of work as Angela Bassett.
right.
She carries the name.
Well, and again, it's the academy. That's why diversity is important. You look at who's a member of the academy and who returned those votes, and that's why diversity is important.
When I was a member of the NARIS Academy, which is the Recording Academy, and I used to vote. You get a ballot, and you're voting on those particular ballots. I think you have to lobby in this very same way that a politician would lobby to be able to get your vote. And that's how some of these things begin to happen. If our people are voting, then you got to say, I'm going to vote for Angela.
But you would have to have.
Did she die in the movie?
Who?
Angela Bassett.
Yeah,
She did
I
in part
have
two.
a problem with that
So
also.
my thing is this: so with the academy, you have to actually have more Black folks that belong to the academy,
Right.
which is an issue because Hollywood's going to restrict the number of Black folks that get into the academy by restricting the number of Black folks that they have in movies that are on screen, that are as part of production, and so all that's restricted. So you're never going to have the number of Black folks that belong to the academy that you would need to make sure that justice is done.
Well, doesn't that come back to the point that Chris was making, that we need to be more in tune with, even though I have problems with the NAACP Image Awards, big problems,
Right.
but that we should go more to supporting that than
Our own.
necessarily.
Right. But
And there has to be a whole
traditionally,
mindset.
right? What is it? The white man's ice is colder?
Yes, I'm glad you said it, because I was getting ready to say
You
it.
get ready to say it?
Yeah.
Traditionally, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's us valuing other people's products and us valuing other people's adulation than our own.
Right.
And that's the issue.
And I think with what Fred was talking about, reiterating what I was saying, is that it takes a mind shift. Okay, we've got to shift our mind from being able to say Angela Bassett may have been upset, but yes, let's refocus and say it really goes to the NAACP Image Awards is the one that you should be coveting most. And by doing that, that's the one that's going to help you make the most money and the film, etc.
But there are, we don't have to get into it today, but there are problems with NAACP Image Awards.
Yeah, we ain't going there.
Okay.
Can I express my concern about Angela being killed?
Yeah.
So a friend of mine in Wakanda forever. Now, a friend and I, we were discussing this at Rudy's yesterday, and the problem I had was why did the Hispanic character had to be the one that killed her out of all
Right.
these movies? I mean, what's this? Lawrence Fishburne had her in the back seat of a car, beating her up, and he couldn't kill Angela in the back seat of a car. And so she says, well, Sharon, you got to see it like this. Lawrence Fishburne took a lot of hits for beating up on Angela, right? To this day, we kind of look at him kind of like, you beat up Angela, right? They said there was no black man that was going to take on that responsibility of killing Angela Bassett and have to hate put on top of him. So I said, well, okay, that makes more sense.
And they don't give Academy Awards to people who die.
Well,
I don't think they do.
there's been time, but
Have they?
yeah, but my other
The
thing
guys
is
in the
this:
movie?
the fact that they used Black Panther to introduce
Oh, yeah.
this other civilization. I know, I understand the history of the comics. They could have used a general Marvel film to introduce, which they traditionally do use to introduce new characters, but they took the black film and introduced an entire new indigenous world, and it diminished the blackness of the film, because it's a film that's basically, if you look at it, how prevalent were the Wakandans in the film? Most of the film was underwater in right, and it was about them. And even looking at the film, the Wakandans were getting beat left and right, and so it took the leader Namor to save at the end, to save the Wakandans who were about to get run off the ship, and so you have this other thing. My problem with Hollywood is you have to have the white hero, and so the white savior. You see that in Wakanda. You see that in the first Wakandan with the white CIA agent. You see it in Woman King with the half Portuguese guy who saved her and locked her in a room and protected her. So that's my other problem with Hollywood. I hope one day we're able to get past the white savior.
That's why my Heroes of Black Wall Street, I made sure there was not a white hero in that. And guess what? We're having a very difficult time having the big wigs in Hollywood buy into it.
Right.
We got about 5 minutes left in this segment, and what I'd like to do is to switch and allow Fred to be able to say something about how young artists can become involved in maybe writing, how they can publish. I want to allow Caleb to be able to say the same, and then I will say the same about music, and we'll follow up and end with Sharon.
Okay, well, I think the first thing that has to happen is we have to believe that we have the ability to write. And then we have to believe that we can do this ourselves. And so it's just a process you go through. When someone comes to me, let's take somebody writing their autobiography. And I've done a number of those. And the first thing I will ask them, after your family, who wants to read this book? That's an important question. So you have to identify your audience, one thing, and you have to have a good story. And it has to be, Caleb is one of the best, I believe, in this country, writing good stories.
Thank you.
I'm glad that he's kind of moved from street lit to and so just the whole process of writing is, first thing, write. Okay, write. Just write. And when you finish it, your brain, we as writers say you have two sides of the brain. You have the let's say the white side is the creative side. And man, just create, boom, boom, boom. Don't worry about editing. Then you go back to let the left side of the brain take over and edit. And a lot of, I know young writers say, I got writer's block. And now this may sound strange to you. I tell them, that's because you're not letting that creative source do its job. You may want to take this character this way, and that creative source don't want you to do that. In my first novel, The Nomination, I created a character who, she was not supposed to be the best of people. But that novel carried me that she turned out to be one of the best people in the story. But you just have to flow with it. Right now, I'm doing a novel on making my way back to Harlem. It's about the Harlem Renaissance, and I one of my characters I wanted to take this way, but I'm going a different way. So you just have to flow, I think, with letting the character, letting that source tell you how to take your characters.
Real quickly, how do they get published?
Well, one of the things you can't go to the big guys now unless you got a big name. They're
Okay.
just not gonna do it.
So what do?
They do it themselves.
How do they do it?
First of all, they the best thing to do is set up, and I hate to say this because we got too many of this. You need to set up your own company, and then get an account with Ingram Spark or one of the distributors.
Okay.
And then what you do is you get someone who really knows how to. Man, I see so many books. It looks like it came right off of Word.
WordPress.
Instead of going to a professional, the software is InDesign. Someone who knows how to put your book in InDesign so it looks real, like the right way it's supposed to be published. And my God, get a good content editor and then align it. Your content editor will tell you how your book is flowing. And there's just little things you need to know about the industry. If I have a writer that uses the word well, he said this, well, he said that. That's not, you don't do that in novels. Or the word was. One person sent me a copy, I think he used was at least 15 times in the first page.
Wow.
Was is passive.
Right.
Novels have to be active. And so those are the kind of things. And then the best thing is to go to a Caleb and talk to him. Caleb will talk to you about writing. I'll talk to you about writing. And my God, I don't know if we might get in trouble here, but be careful on getting Amazon or some of these other vanity. They call them vanity press. Okay, it's vanity because you want to see your book in print, and they take you to the cleaners to do it. And so those are the things you have to watch out for. So,
Well, let me stop you there and say, unfortunately, we are out of time. We can't go anywhere. But my email address is cdcolo@yahoo.com. If you want to know more about Caleb and how to do different things, or to get in touch with Fred or something like that, or you can also go to our website, which is contemporaryblackvoices.com. You can go to either one of those and be able to contact us if you want more information. And always, please make sure that you like and subscribe, and make sure that you hit the button, the bell, so that you know when we're having new content. I'm Chris Dawkins. On behalf of Caleb, on behalf of Sharon, on behalf of Fred, I'd like to say thank you. And for the last word, we're going to say to Sharon.
Stay tuned for Hot Topics.
All right.